You know that feeling, right? You're standing in the wine aisle, just staring at a wall of bottles, and you are completely paralyzed by choice. Well, if the world of wine feels like some kind of secret club you haven't been invited to, you're in the right place. Today, we are giving you the secret handshake. We're going to decode the labels, map out the different styles, and give you the confidence to finally start your own adventure. So let's dive in. Okay, so our journey begins in a place we've all been, staring at that wall of bottles with all these labels screaming at us in languages we might not understand, and we have absolutely no idea where to even begin. Trust me, it's a super common feeling, and you are definitely not alone. And look, it's not just some vague feeling. Check this out. This is a real post from someone on Reddit, and it just perfectly captures that beginner's anxiety. I mean, they know what they like, sweet, citrusy flavors, but they're worried about wasting money on the wrong bottle. That is the exact problem we're here to solve today. Does that sound familiar? It's the classic beginner's dilemma. And honestly, it's no wonder it's intimidating. Did you know there are over 10,000 different types of wine grapes in the world? 10,000! So where on earth do you even begin? Well, let's build a map. To make sense of all this, we need a simple map. So for now, let's just forget about those 10,000 grapes. Just about every wine you're going to find falls into one of 5 main categories. Think of these as like the continents of the wine world. First up, red wine. It gets its color and, importantly, its structure. You know, that drying sensation in your mouth. That's called tannin from the grape skins. A really great place to start is with something like a Pinot Noir. It's light-bodied with flavors of cherry and raspberry. Or if you want something a bit bolder, a Cabernet Sauvignon is full-bodied with these deep notes of blackcurrant. Next up, white wine. This is typically lighter and crisper because it's fermented without the grape skins. Now, if you're the person who likes citrusy things, Sauvignon Blanc is going to be your new best friend. It's known for its high acidity and these zesty lime flavors. Chardonnay, on the other hand, is incredibly versatile. It can be really crisp and clean, or it can be rich and buttery, all depending on how it's made. And what about rosé? Well, it's actually made from red grapes, but the skins are only left in for a really short time, just enough to give it that beautiful pink color. It's light, it's refreshing, and it's full of fruit flavors like strawberry, which makes it absolutely perfect for a sunny day. Then we have the bubbly stuff. Sparkling wine gets its fizz from a second fermentation process that cleverly traps carbon dioxide in the bottle. The two most famous are, of course, Champagne from France, which is complex and kind of toasty, and Prosecco from Italy, which is often a little lighter and more fruity. And finally, we've got dessert wines. These are intensely sweet, and they're made by concentrating the grape sugars. Think of Port from Portugal, which is a rich, fortified wine. That just means a little brandy is added to boost the alcohol and preserve all that sweetness. Or Sauternes from France, which is incredibly luscious and complex. They're a perfect way to end a meal. So that's our map, but you've probably noticed something when you walk down that wine aisle. You see the same names over and over and over again: Cabernet, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir. That is not a coincidence. There's a reason these grapes basically took over the world. The answer lies in this one concept: the international variety. These are basically the rock stars of the grape world. They're grapes that have proven so popular and so adaptable that they're now grown all over the globe. They have huge consumer recognition, and that's why stores are just packed with them. Historically, this whole idea started with just a handful of grapes, mostly from France, known as the noble grapes. Think Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Cabernet Sauvignon. These became the benchmark for quality, proving they could produce just incredible wine no matter where in the world they were planted. They essentially became global superstars. But there's a flip side to this global stardom. The famous wine expert Oz Clarke once called Chardonnay a ruthless colonizer. Now, that's a pretty harsh term, but it points to a real issue. The massive popularity of these few grapes has sometimes pushed out unique local varieties, and that can lead to a world where a lot of wine starts to taste kind of the same. Okay, so we have our map, and we get why certain grapes are everywhere. Now, let's talk about the rules of the road for one of wine's greatest pleasures: pairing it with food. All right, this is one of the most important principles from the Court of Master Sommeliers, so listen up. When you're pairing wine with food, the acidity in the wine needs to be at least as high as the acidity in the food. So if you have a salad with a vinaigrette dressing, you need a high acid wine like Sauvignon Blanc. Otherwise, the wine will taste dull and lifeless. Flabby is the word the pros use. Another key rule is all about matching weight with weight, or even better, using one to soften the other. Take the classic pairing, a big tannic Cabernet Sauvignon with a juicy steak. The reason it works so well is that the fat and protein in that steak literally grab onto those tannins, making the wine feel velvety smooth in your mouth. It's just a perfect complementary pairing. But pairings can also work through powerful contrast. Think about the legendary match between sauternes, that sweet dessert wine we talked about, and really rich fatty foods like foie gras or blue cheese. Here, the wine's intense sweetness and zinging acidity act like a spotlight, cutting right through the richness of the food. It just cleanses your palate and creates this incredible dynamic balance. Now that we have the fundamentals down, let's zoom out for a second. Because your journey into wine is happening at a really interesting time for the entire industry. So according to a major industry report, the wine world is pretty much at a crossroads. For decades, its growth was fueled by one single generation, the baby boomers. But that generation is now aging and drinking less, while younger consumers, well, they haven't really embraced wine with that same passion. Not yet, anyway. So, what does this all mean? It means the wine world needs new explorers. It needs people just like you, who are curious and who are ready to find what they love. Your exploration isn't just a personal journey. It's exactly what the entire industry is looking for right now. All right, you have the map, you have the rules of the road. Now it's time to put it all into practice and begin your own adventure. So where do you start tomorrow? Here are 3 simple steps. First, pick an approachable grape, like Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Noir. Second, you don't need to break the bank, but spending between, say, $15 and $25 will usually get you a quality bottle that truly represents its style. And third, and this is the most important part, the absolute best way to learn about wine is simply to drink it. You are now officially equipped. You can walk into that wine store with total confidence because you have the map. You know the main styles, you understand why certain grapes are famous, and you have the rules for pairing. That intimidating wall of bottles isn't a wall anymore. It's a wall of possibilities. So the only question left is, what adventure will you choose first?